Hey guys, it's Ohm, and I'm playing Command & Conquer once again. Unfortunately though, this may be the very last time. So at this point, this is more archival footage that you guys are seeing, because this game may never be played again once the servers are offline. So what you're seeing is the closed alpha. The EA, and Victory Games, they recently lifted the NDA on the closed alpha, allowed people to talk about it, make videos, monetize their videos and whatnot. So I was given full permission when I did my quick look to get video footage up, and I was a little bit critical of it, but I kept in mind that, again, it was closed alpha, it wasn't finished. There was a lot of work that could have, been put into the game essentially to make it a more polished and fun experience. And unfortunately, I just came to find out, and you may have even read stories by now at the major news sites out there and whatnot, that Victory Games has been closed, and Command & Conquer, what you're seeing here, has been canceled, essentially. At least the Command & Conquer that is the game that you're seeing here. So really, nobody knows what's going to be going on with the future of the franchise, and this is one of my favorite franchises out there. Not many of you guys know this, but I was added to the moderation team not long ago. I used to really get involved with the community and whatnot, and it's kind of a bummer. Again, this is a franchise I've been playing since the original, and I was rooting for this game so much. It's just really sad, because I'll tell you what, like, this was originally supposed to be Generals 2, and then EA decided that they were just going to go and make Command & Conquer, which initially was supposed to be Generals units, as you're seeing here. This is very, very much Generals, like combat and whatnot. And then they were supposed to open up the game to the other universes out there, like the Tiberian universe and Red Alert and whatnot. So, there was going to be a lot of additional content added to this game as time went on, and they even talked about potentially adding a campaign. Now, I'll be honest, at this point, I don't care too much for the campaigns, especially after the way that Command & Conquer 4 went. That was a really, really bad game. That game was actually so bad it almost turned me off to CNC games forever. But I can't shake my love for Generals. Most of all, Generals, if you guys missed it, it was seriously one of the best RTS games of all time. I put it up there easily with Warcraft 3 and StarCraft and whatnot. I mean, it's a fantastic game. And still today, I know people play it, but yeah, I mean, this game, again, I was so hoping that they would pull this together. But, as I said in the quick look video and whatnot, really, the way that they were going about this, they wanted to make this a free-to-play game, and they wanted to have, all these different generals and whatnot. They had, their own unique units and upgrades and everything, but going that route, unfortunately, and as I said in the quick look video, it kind of made everything feel like, each side you were kind of pigeonholed into specific builds and strategies, and it just wasn't all that much fun. Like, it had potential, that's for sure, but overall, it just wasn't all that much fun, which is, really unfortunate. And I think that, based off the feedback I was reading on the official forums and everything, there were a lot of people who just weren't happy with it. There were just too many issues. The gameplay it just wasn't fun. A lot of things felt kind of awkward. Movement, for example, or the way units turn. Units would actually go and jump around, be airborne and whatnot after going over small hills. Just a lot of really weird stuff, and personally I think it's because the developers decided to use the Frostbite engine, which is what powers the Battlefield games. Not that there's anything wrong with Frostbite, it's actually a really great engine for FPS, and it's able to do things that, typically you don't get to see in a lot of games, especially on the FPS side. I mean, you literally get, massive combat, not on the Arma 3 scale or anything, but, you get large maps, you get all these vehicles and whatnot. In this game, though, I don't know, to me, that was my personal gut feeling, was that the engine was causing more problems than anything for this game. Essentially because they were taking a strategy game and using an FPS engine for it. So, unfortunately, as I said, the game's canceled, and, looking back, the history of CNC games has kind of been troubled. It's been that way for the longest time. Unfortunately, CNC actually did pretty well, Red Alert did pretty well, but Tiberian Sun, and I think it was called Firestorm, those games are kind of weird. There was also a Soul Survivor type game that was really goofy that I know that a lot of people, at least friends I had at the time that were playing CNC games, just were not happy with the game. And, you know, of course, Generals came out, and that kind of turned things around. People were like, holy shit, this is a great game. But Westwood was shutting down, and it was EA Pacific that made the game, not Westwood. And but then EA kind of redeemed itself with Zero Hour, and they went on and they made Battle for Middle-earth 1 and 2. Also great games. I miss those games so much, I can't even tell you. Battle for Middle-earth 2, like, I'm still upset that they shut down the servers for that. But anyway, you know, there was some redemption there, and then Command & Conquer 3 was actually really good. Kane's Wrath was okay. And then Red Alert 3, you know, it kind of started the decline again. And at which point, you know, here's, you know, kind of interesting fact here. And, you know, getting to know people at EA LA over the years and whatnot, EA, for whatever reason, sometime around like 2009 or so, decided they really wanted to try to go free-to-play with CNC games. And initially, Command & Conquer 4 was supposed to be a game called Arena. And, you know, the EA decided, like, you know what, the whole free-to-play thing, I guess, isn't going to work. At least that's what I was told. And, you know, we're going to turn this into a full-blown game. So they took the Arena gameplay that you guys all saw in multiplayer with, like, the big mobile constructor and whatnot, mobile bases, and they actually, you know, built a core game and campaign around it. Now, unfortunately, people just, you know, for the most part didn't like it. Or some even hated it. They said it was the death of CNC. EA LA just, you know, essentially broke apart after that. It was really sad. You know, I had a lot of friends that were at the studio at the time, but EA tried, you know, to revive things with this game here. What you're seeing, it was announced as Generals 2. I knew so many people that freaked out when the announcement was made. It was just like such big news. People were super pumped. It was like, holy shit, they're actually doing fan service. They're making Generals 2. Like, this is it. Like, finally, the game we've been begging for all this time. Like, stop doing the stupid, you know, free-to-play crap and whatnot. Like, give us a real game and a sequel to, like, the best CNC game of all time. And then they had to go and twist things up even more and say, oh, guess what? Now we're doing free-to-play. Now, that's not to say it couldn't have worked. It could have worked. They could have made this into a good game, but obviously something went wrong. I don't know what went wrong with this game. I'm really not sure. Despite having friends at the studio, they were, for the most part, very, very silent about the shutdown. I didn't find out till the news broke publicly. And after that, all my friends that I've got, they essentially have gone offline. I don't know if they're just vegging out on the couch or what, but they're not on Skype. They're not, you know, they're just not reachable. So I really don't know, like, exactly what happened. Why was it so last minute? But unfortunately, like I said, this is pretty much the end of this game. And who knows when the servers are shutting down. It sounds like it's going to happen soon. At which point, nobody's ever going to get to play this game again. And, you know, again, there was potential here. It's just a huge bummer that, you know, essentially all the footage I captured of this is really potentially the last time anybody's going to see this game. And actually that happened not long ago with, oddly enough, with Petroglyph Studios, the studio that formed out of Westwood. Petroglyph invited me to check out their game Victory, which was like kind of like a new RTS they were going for, like World War II themed. But it was actually kind of fun, but then not long after I covered it, and they gave me hands-on build play and whatnot, like I had time to play with them, they canceled their Kickstarter, and nothing's been heard about it since. And part of me thinks that, like, I've got the real, like, the only hands-on footage out there in the world. And that footage is, like, archival. It's there to, like, show that the game existed, but it's never going to be seen again. And I kind of feel like that's what might happen here. Who knows, you know, again, I don't want to put words in EA's mouth, but I have a feeling that they don't have a whole lot of confidence in this franchise anymore. Even though, in a lot of ways, I think that the formula to success here is kind of clear. Fans want, for the most part, if you poll people, they want a proper Generals sequel. And not one that's, you know, like you know, a free-to-play game. They want a real core game that gives you a lot of options. They want the innovation back. That's one thing I heard a lot of complaints about, is that this game, for example, you can see the General's powers at the bottom, but they unlock almost like they do in, like, Company of Heroes 2, where you've got this, like, fixed layout per General. In my opinion, that sucks. It royally sucks. It's not fun. The innovation that was there with EA Pacific, like, what they did that was so special was they made Generals trees, and they had very, very clear upgrades, and they had cool things like firestorms and whatnot, and, you know, for the MiG fighter jets, and they had tunnel systems. They were the first ones to really do the tunnel systems before even, like, the StarCraft 2 Nidus were. It's just a lot of cool stuff that EA Pacific did first, and all they really had to do was just follow that formula. And, you know, even like the hero units and whatnot, in this game, the hero units, you know, again, granted, this game's it was not near release, it was alpha, but the generals that they were making just weren't fun. Where was a Colonel Byrne? Where was the Jarman Kell? You know, and Black Lotus. Black Lotus was a hacker unit for China. It was my favorite unit in the game. It was so fun. You could steal funds, you could take over buildings. I mean, there was so many things you could do with the Lotus that it was just awesome. And you know, this game, like I can tell that the developers were really passionate about it. They put a lot of work into the, you know, the art side of things, and you know, I could tell that they really wanted to make this to, you know, out to be a good game. But it just seemed like their hands were tied. And I don't know if it was EA or what. You know, I really don't know the full story. All I can do is speculate here. But it's a bummer, man. It's a really big bummer. So hopefully, you know, I really hope that EA, you know, whether or not they revive this, you know, again, it's really sad that this might be the last time I'll ever play this or you guys might ever see this game. But hopefully they consider, again, bringing people, you know, a proper General's title. You know, I think it can be done. And I think, you know, if they just try, you know, not so much like, you don't have to go the StarCraft 2 route, you know, with Blizzard almost doing a direct copy of everything, but get it extremely close. You know, innovate on top of the innovations that were there before. Make the game more, you know, more fun. You know, and make sure the general's powers are there. Bring back the classics. Like, give people something to cheer about. Like, oh yeah, you know, Jarman Kell's back, my favorite unit. I get to snipe out drivers out of vehicles and run like a terrorist guy inside the driver's seat. You know, it's like, do that stuff. Do the fan service here. It was just, you know, they added all these generals, but the generals meant nothing to anybody. You know, it just felt out of place. It wasn't right. So, you know, I really don't know what else to say here. You know, it's a big bummer in the RTS world because EA, you know, for a while, you know, they were kind of the ones that were bouncing back and forth between Blizzard and you know, some of the other smaller RTS studios, but EA was kind of known for being you know, one of the juggernauts of RTS. They invested a lot of money into getting new RTS games out, and like I said, Battle for Middle-earth and stuff, like, they made some amazing titles, and they could do it. They could make a really good RTS game. This had potential again, but it just wasn't there. So I hope this isn't the end, guys. Let me know what you thought, though, in the comments, or what you think about this whole situation. Unfortunately, you know, it doesn't seem like there's anything that can be done to bring this game back or anything, and who knows if they could have made it polished enough where it would have been worth having it back, but I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I'm sure, you know what, there's probably going to be some EA guys out there that are going to listen to and, you know, take into account some of your opinions, so leave some comments here on the video and you know, share your opinions. In the meantime, though, I think I'm about out of footage here, or we're getting close, actually, so I'm going to let this run out without any additional commentary. You guys can enjoy the sounds and the music and whatnot of the gameplay, but again, this game it's done. That's it. The team's not there anymore. They're gone. And I don't even know what they do. I really don't know what they do going forward. Maybe they could try to talk to Petroglyph and say, hey guys, you want to try to have a crack at CNC again? Maybe they'll form a new studio. They seem to want to do RTS out of LA. A Victory was in LA. Who knows? But hopefully this isn't the end of CNC, because CNC games were great, and yeah. I would just hate to see this, you know, franchise die. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see all of you guys next time.
You surprised the clown with that one.
That's the spot. Fuel air bomb is ready to go, sir. All standard and upgrade. Coming through. Incoming movement. Now!
I doubt they have a backup plan.
No enemy here. Cannon fire. Keep on mark. Hurry
excitement.
It's right, Steve.
Copy that.
Even weaker than they look.
For us?
Enemy here. Where's that? Got them. Get some cover. Got a flare power online, sir. Anybody right nearby? Looks fine. Let's test this where we are. Got 'em. Hope they like lasers. Use this new player power and all our wishes will come true. Certainly.
So much for structure.
Like that. Yes, sir. Dosing time. Get there to hurt. Power plant in place.
We'll without that.
You run.
20 minutes our time here. I'm behind schedule.
Get there to hurt.
More wisely anyway.
Distant plan. That'll hurt. Yes. Yeah. Blow up. Right, so who doesn't like player powers?
That's a nice strategy.
You like that? Up. Oh yeah. Get there to hurt. Oh yeah. Right foot. Go charged up. Right laser. Oh, it's close. Let's fight, Steve. Enemies, let them have it! We are needed. Got them! Stolen goods. Guns cooling off. Who needs a home? Try this.
Electricity at its finest.
Try this. Good to go. Try this. Who needs a pulse?
So much for structure.